Upstairs, downstairs. She made it. Good morning, we're over here. Okay, as promised, we're going to make some noise this morning. Nice. Okay, good morning, gang. Oh, the paper isn't out. Crap. Thank you for the reminder. Here we are. I've got to get upstairs for a minute. The paper isn't out. Thank you. I did. I ran up to get something. I got to do show and tell this afternoon, so I forgot about it. So just 2 minutes before the stream, I ran up to the third floor. That's why I'm puffing. But I forgot to take the paper out. Okay, you're going to have to excuse me for a minute. You know what's going on? Back in whatever one. I'm not going to run this time. Back in a minute. Take care of yourselves. While you're waiting, back in a sec. Paper out. Thank you, gentlemen. Thanks for the savings. He's getting it out of the paper. Getting the paper out of the fridge. Is the camera shaking? If I bang the tripod, it does so. All right. I hope the rest of the day goes a bit more smoothly than that. All right, let's do this now. We cut the edges yesterday on this, and now I've got to clear up the unneeded area. A couple of points. It's really easy to make a mistake the wrong way around here. This is the block for the sky, and we're going to clear out the inner area. But it's really easy. I've done this before, sat here and looked at it and just started chiseling in the wrong place. So we've got yellow tone on it, but it's not all that deep and dark. And also just to confirm, there's no islands. Sometimes, for example, in the case of the seaweed, there's a place in the middle like this that should be part of that. In this case, there are none. I think we have no islands to worry about. So it's going to be a single area and everything else gets cleared away. It's too bad, 'cause it's a beautiful, beautiful piece of wood and we're going to waste most of it, but that's the way it goes in this job. Okay, headphone viewers, please be careful. It's going to be noisy for a while, for quite a while here. I mentioned a moment ago we'll have a show and tell this morning. We'll do that. The book that I was playing with upstairs the other day, I was soaking off some prints. We'll have a look at that book today as well as the prints I soaked off. every carver has his own way to start this kind of a job, or what to do, where to start. And we've talked about this before. My own policy, the wood grain is running this way. So the way I do this is I first try and clear out the areas which have horizontal places. The wood grain is running this way. I clear across the grain areas first. And the reason I do this is because I found in the early days when I started the other way, when I would run with the grain first, a lot of places you'd bang into the place where there's an area like this, which is cross grain. And no matter how careful I was, the wood would sometimes split out with the grain. That's the way wood works. So you'd end up losing or damaging some of these areas that are cross grain. So what I do now is I do the cross grain lines first. And you see what's going to happen. Then we're going to just slide these out. The with the grain areas then come out with a bigger chisel easily. I've never, had a chance to watch a traditional carver do this, so I don't know what other people are doing. Aska-san or something, my friend, I don't know what he does. But this is my own. It doesn't really matter. You're working across grain, either with this chisel or with the actual cutting itself. There's always much more control. When you're going with the grain, your knives, stuff tend to work with the grain and slide, and the wood takes over. But when you're cutting cross grain, the wood doesn't have an effect. Your chisel has complete control. It's much safer cross grain. Although, of course, cross grain gives you a rougher cut and a rougher surface. That's fixed later. You've got much more control going crosswise. Much, much, much more control. Happening on the chat, I'm sorry for ignoring it. Probably 10 minutes of earthquake, banging the tripod. I don't think so. Oh, look at this, all this conversation. I'm sorry, I'm missing it, I haven't changed the water yet. I'll be changing it at the year end next week. Oh, it's still in there. The green stuff is still in there. See it? Oh, Jed's here this morning. Hello, Jed-san. It's a normal chemistry flask, Tisha. I'll be changing the water next week. I can't read all this now, I'm sorry, I'll read it later. This is the background block. Good morning, Jedson. This is the background block, the block that will be the sky. So I'm taking away everything that's not sky. If it is sky or sea, I don't know what it is. Here at the shop tonight, the last couple of days, Thursday and Friday, have been fairly quiet. It's the quiet before the storm. They've actually been just 1 week, a week before Christmas, so the 2 weeks before Christmas is one of our most quiet times of year here in Asakusa, in the shop. But now, starting today, going right through to New Year's Eve, we're flooded, we're swamped. There's reservations basically top to bottom nonstop. And it's a double trouble because we've got a huge number of reservations, but really low staff. The staff are disappearing. They don't want to come in. They don't want to work, I don't have a control over them. I can't tell them you must come next Thursday. They all choose their own hours in discussion with the manager, Ishikawa-san, the shop manager. And they're all off. It's just me and Kawai-san. Kawai-san's here with me today, and there's like 4 parties, and then all the way through to the end of the year. So it's a huge problem for me because I got so many things to do. I got to get the new video ready for the new series. Anyway, don't complain. Just get to work, Dave. Where are we? Okay, on camera. good morning. 石川さん、はい、紙出したんですが、そんな長い、もう1時間まだ経ってないよ。だから
わかりました。はい、ありがとうございます。
はい、Thank you. Did you guys save my buns or what? I had no idea she was coming this early today. Whew. She usually comes around noon, Ishikawa-san. Well, her paper's still pretty hard, but at least it's out. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. God, that would have have been a disaster. The registration marks, don't cut the registration marks. One here, one here, be careful. This wood, and it's an older block I've had for many years waiting in storage, and the difference, you know, when we cut the new wood that we're getting, when we cut it cross grain, it's fuzzy and fuzzy and fuzzy. And this wood, even cross grain, it's smooth and clean. Just nice stuff. Which way, do you remember? So is Kosan coming down the stairs? Comments. Oh, wrong one. That's the reason right there why I don't start with the horizontal stuff. You see that? The grain actually block runs, whatever. It cuts down this way. So if I'm cutting this way, the chisel doesn't cut down into the wood. If I cut this way, like we did here, look at that, the chisel wants to sink into the wood, it doesn't want to come out. So if I had started like this, up against an area like that, we would pop out that area. So that's why always I do that vertical part first. And then when you try the horizontal, whoops, ain't gonna work that way. Just flip it around and you know where you are. Now, having said that, the whole surface of the block will be different. The grain might run this way here and this way here. So you're always playing with it, always conscious of it. Am I on camera still? Did someone just ask, does it snow in Japan? Of course it snows in Japan. It's one of the major ski resort countries of the world. Wait till you see the next print, the second print in this year's series. I don't want to take the edge. I don't want to remove the corner. You know, the corner here is okay. It's past the paper. The paper won't be coming this far, so it doesn't damage the paper. But when we're printing on the other side of this block, if the corners are missing, the block is a bit wobbly. So I like to keep the corners if I possibly can. I'm not going to keep that one because it's too close. There's just no way it's going to bother the paper. And also the block isn't too wobbly because the corner is close, the carved corner. Also too, I don't know if you're noticing, I keep shifting. A delicate work like this now, we want just to tap a little bit, Hand is up near the top of the hammer. But then a minute when we switch to wider strokes in the middle, the hand pulls back and you get more power with it. Okay, I think it's outlined, right? Now we've got to do the main clearing in the middle. And we're not going to take all of this away. We need to take about 3 fingers around. So just to give an idea, it will probably come something like this. We'll leave this area here, not because of the image, but because if we take everything away, the paper tends to flop down in a wide area. So I'll leave an island, we call it shima. We'll leave an island in this, so I'll just take away this part. The bench has been moving, as I tap, 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 the bench gradually migrates bit by bit. So let's pull it back. Did I move the camera? Is it okay? Seems all right. Okay, so I got a show and tell as well. So let's do a bit more of this rough clearing, and then with the noisy work out of the way, we'll do our show and tell. What time is it now? 8:30 to show, so lots of time. So still a bit noisy, just for a couple of minutes here. Okay, switch right back to the end of the hammer. The grain is really straight both ways. It's gonna we okay? Okay, just a bit more up here, and then we can get quiet. Thanks for your patience on this, you know. It's part of the work, I can't help it. It's got to get done. Here's where the green switches right away, you know. He's waiting for me to smash that thing. Okay, just this last corner here. Hi. Okay, stage 2 complete. Remember again, we talked about these stages. Stage 1 was cutting the lines, always with these blocks. It's 3 stages. Stage 1 was cut around all the lines. Stage 2 is clear the waste. And stage 3, which we'll get to in a minute, is clearing between those things, between the land and the sea, getting the seashore all cleaned up. Okay, noise done for the day. For the first part of the day, anyway. Okay, what's the time? 8:40. Let's do the show and tell. Let's do the show and tell. Blue cloth, I think I said I'm going to get by the end of the year. I'll do a little bit of a cleanup at the end of the year, change my water over at the shrine. We'll do that thing, I guess. What we're supposed to do. Change the water over there. Maybe get a new cloth. I should also fix the rings on the end of my chisel if I got time for that stuff. I don't know, whatever. Okay, let's do a little bit of show and tell. Paper out of the freezer, thanks very much at this point. One of the printers is already upstairs working. Okay, how to do this, let's see. What was it, yesterday? We were upstairs, no, 2 days ago. I did a stream upstairs from the hot bath. We had a hot tub of water upstairs, and in the water I was floating some prints to take them off their backing. I'm going to have a look at some of those today. Where am I here? Let's see this. Where's the book? Okay. We didn't get a chance to see this book because the light was bad up there. Okay, what we have. This is a book published in 1937. We looked it up the other day. It's published in 1937 by the Takamizawa company here in Japan. 100 masterpieces of famous ukiyo-e. And they were a bit of an old-fashioned company. They did a really good job in the early years. I guess they started in the early 20s or something, at 17s, I don't know. And then they collapsed in about the 1990s, 1980s, 1990s. They finally collapsed. Rags to rags, 2 generations. But they did a beautiful job. In their early years, they published some wonderful, wonderful, wonderful reproductions. In later years, it was much more sporadic and scattered, and there was all kinds of junk published. So the name Takamizawa doesn't always indicate wonderful, glorious work. But as a general rule, the earlier you see that name, the better the quality of work is. My friend Asuka Motoharu, the carver, there's some video on him here and there on the internet. He trained at the Takamizawa workshop in Kyoto for many, many, many years. And he tried to get in there. They first threw him out. He persisted. And he became their main carver all through the end of their time, 1970s and so on. Anyway, we have a book published in 1937 by them. And what they tried to do, they tried to do a survey of ukiyo-e history from the oldest times to the time when it finished. And it's not really a well organized, comprehensive survey. If you tried to pick 100 prints that showed the history of ukiyo-e start to finish, this would not be the 100 I chose. Because the guy who chose this heavily chose 2 things. He chose early era woodblock prints in the beginnings of the genre. It's really, really heavily. And then he also chose like 50 prints from Utamaro, which is not, I mean, that's fine. The Utamaro prints are very nice and everything else, that era. But he really heavily overstated those 2 things. And there are almost no landscapes in here. There's like 5 or 6 landscapes or something in here, 6 or 7 landscapes. That's it. And there's nothing from after Hiroshige. There's no Yoshitoshi, no Kuniyoshi, no stuff like that, or almost none of it. So it's not a balanced survey of the ukiyo-e history, but it is an interesting thing. And what they did was, I don't know why they did this. I don't know what they did. Was they had the technology to print beautiful, beautiful, delicate woodblock prints. I mean, whatever. Let's just grab one here. Where's the prints that I prepared here? Hang on a second. The prints we removed from their backing yesterday. Let me just find one. The one I was using as an example here. This is one of the prints taken from a different edition of this book. And in real life, it is an astonishingly delicately, beautifully produced woodblock print. It's on incredibly thin paper, beautiful, beautiful, strong washi paper, printed with beautiful deep colors. The key blocks, I'm not really sure how many of these are carved and how many of these are done with photomechanical reproduction. And that's one reason why I wanted to get this book here today. Let's do a quick look at this. I can't share this with you specifically because it's going to be a microscope view. Just let me get this under the scope for a minute. It is carved. And some of them are photomechanical, this is not. Every line here is carved. And the reason you can tell, again, I'm sorry, just take my word for it for the moment here. I can't show you through the microscope. But there are places in the carving where 2 lines hit each other. Many, many places where 2 lines hit each other. And if it's photomechanical reproduction, someone has drawn the thing with a brush and it's reproduced photomechanically. So you see places like, let me get a junk piece of paper here to draw. When it's photomechanically reproduced, the brush strokes have gone like this. There's been a brush stroke and another brush stroke. And you get places like this. I'm going to exaggerate it for effect here, where the second brush stroke has gone in. So on photomechanical reproduction, you see both parts of this. On a woodblock version, the original designer has done the same thing, and he's done his brush off. But the woodblock people cut it here. So the woodblock version looks like this. Looks like a line and coming clean. Then there's another aspect to this. The woodblock versions will show this. When you've got stuff like lines meeting like this, the woodblock version shows a little tiny trace. It actually looks like this. There can be sometimes a little gap here because the knife has come through and cut and chipped out a tiny piece of wood. But if it's photomechanical, you just get your plus. So there's any number of tiny little clues to look at when we're looking at this under the microscope. And this one is a carved version. this key block. Look at her face is the same as my fingernail. And the eyes are open, there's eyebrows, there's lips, there's tiny hairs all over the place. Look at the lettering. We saw this one the other day. That whole poem or book page, whatever, is carved within almost the same spaces as one of my nails. You know, it's absolutely astonishing work. Zoom back up. But then what they did with this thing, they made all these glorious, beautiful prints like this, and then in order to do their binding and make their big, heavy book, blah, 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 they glued them all onto a thick, heavy cardboard so they could stick them in a book like this. And that's okay, you can still see the print, but it's gone flat, you can't see the texture of it, you can't feel it. And the other part of it is the cardboard they used was not washi paper. It was pulp, crap pulp paper. And you saw, those of you who were on the stream 2 days ago, you saw. What I did was, let's just put the book aside for a minute. What I did was, I took a number of the prints from a destroyed copy of the book. The prints were on the thick paper. We put them in a bath, and you saw after 10 or 15 minutes things soften up, and it was possible to remove the prints from the pulpy paper, which just dissolved and floated away. So, where are we? Partly through the story here. Okay, to go back in time a couple of days now then. This is the book itself. I have 3 copies of this now myself, actually. We got another one on auction last night. So I have now 3 full, complete copies of this book. But a few days ago, no, it's nearly a week ago now, another copy came up in a sale. And it was the damaged copy. This is the damaged copy. It's missing the frontispiece. The frontispiece has all been torn out and taken away somewhere else. And 18 of the prints were missing. There were only 82 prints left. So because it was a damaged copy, Doi-san and I talked about it, what we thought, should we just try and sell it as it is, damaged? No, what I think I'll do, we never destroy books here. We never cut up books and take the pages out and sell them separately. But because this single copy was already damaged, we lifted the prints out of it, and you saw the other day, I started washing them free of their backing. So we don't destroy books here, but what we're doing with this series of prints, we're going to take the opportunity here given, because it's a damaged copy of the book, we're going to take the opportunity to release this particular set of prints from their backing. And that process started the other day, and here we go. Here's the prints that I floated off the other day. Let's have a look at some of them. These are the ones that you saw in the bath of hot water. I think I showed you this one at that time. Let me pull some of these out. Can we zoom in a bit? Let's find some nice ones to look at here. These are the prints, and you can see now the back. You can see from the back, you can normally see a woodblock print. You can see on the back of it, these ones that are on the paper, of course you can't, because all you can see is the back of the sheet. So here's the first batch. I think there's about 20. These are the prints that were floating in the hot water the other day. It's astonishing, you know, I put this into a bowl of hot water. You saw me, it was so hot I could barely get my fingers in there. And it just comes up perfectly. The event didn't go 100% okay, as you saw while I was doing it the other day. I did lose one. If I can find it here somewhere, here, just a second, it'll come up in a minute. Oh, there's part of that triptych. Let's find the rest of those. That was so cool. What they did in the book, they took, here we go, let's look at this, look at this, look at this, look at this. Which one is that? That's the right hand side, that's the middle, is it? And that's the left hand side. Let's put it so you can see it. There's an ukiyo-e large scale Utamoto triptych, and they reproduced all of them, and they're just astonishing. The crisscross of the net, this is all carved. They don't carve the crisscrosses. You know how we do this? We carve all the vertical lines on one block and all horizontal lines on another block. That's a staggeringly beautiful object. My God. As I said, there are a few landscapes in the book, not too many of them. What an absolute, oh, there's another one. There was another diptych here. There's 2 prints from the same design. Here's the one I destroyed. I shouldn't really admit this, but whatever, I'm going to be honest about this. Look at this, we now have a hole in this print. When I started to pull the paper off the back, I misjudged what I was doing, and instead of pulling just the junk paper off the back, the washi itself started to split. Washi is in layers. You've seen me do that before, pull washi off, when we do the peel for our Gampi. And this one started to peel, but under the water I didn't notice, and it peeled away from the front of the print. So Dave here is responsible for destroying one beautiful print from 1937. Let's put that away. So sorry about that. You win some, you lose some. I think overall we're doing okay in this. I'm bringing more beauty to the world here than I'm destroying, so I think we're okay. And that's a good example, actually, of what we said. Well, the other day we said, don't try this at home. You know, even people like us who really do know what we're doing and who, you know, can handle this, cannot bat 1,000 on this. We cannot bat 1,000. So please don't try this at home. That's all I can say. I got emails the other day when I did this washing job up there. Even when I finished the stream and I got down to my workbench, there was an email from somebody. He has a large Meiji era woodblock print. He sent some photographs. He said, Dave, I'm thinking about washing it free after seeing your stream today. Should I put this in hot water and float it free? And I had to tell him, no, 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 no. There's more than one reason why prints are backed sometimes. In this case, they did the backing because they felt the prints were probably too fragile to survive the mounting system they were planning. That's why they backed them. Another reason for backing prints, especially Meiji era large prints, is sometimes the print has become damaged or destroyed or it's too weak, and they put the backing on to hold it together. So this guy showed me an image of a print that he's got, and it looked like actually the print was damaged and it was being held together by the backing. So in that case, if you throw that in the hot water and float it off, the print is going to come apart. So again, if you don't know what you're doing, just please leave this off. So what we're going to have here, after we finish floating these all off, I don't have too much time to muck with this now, but over the whatever coming weeks and months, as I get time, we'll float a few more off bit by bit by bit. And the set of 88, it's a set of 100 normally, but we've got 88 left in the book. I've destroyed one, so we're down to 87. So we will have 87 beautiful prints. I'm not sure what to do with them. Should I keep them or should we put them in the shop? I don't really know, you know. We have a hard policy here of never to sell in the shop, never to sell broken book pages. Even if we didn't break the book, when we're in auctions and stuff, we don't buy broken book pages. Absolutely, it's a rock hard ironclad policy of this shop here, because we don't want to encourage that in any way. But this book was already broken up, so I don't know. What do we do? My God, they're beautiful, you know. They are just so beautiful. They've gone to such trouble on this, you know. They've got a gradation, a sideways gradation on here, kimono. We see stuff like quite often there's a gradation at the bottom of a kimono or something like this. They have done a sideways. Can you see it? It's darker on the right-hand side than on the left-hand side. In the space of a centimeter. This is insanely difficult. If I give this to one of our printers upstairs, she would just say, what have you been smoking? And she would just say no. But these guys have done this. And I get why, because on the original Oban print, that was really large. It was like 12 by whatever it was. That would not have been so difficult. But when you shrink it down to this scale, some things that are normal become impossible. And the printer just went ahead and did it. There is so much value, so much beauty, so much attraction in this little tiny scrap of paper. And the book itself, the book I have, my own copy, there's 100 of these prints in here. 100 of them. 100 of them. Let's find that same one. Where is it? Just page after page after page after page of these things. It just doesn't stop. Where's that triptych? Let's try and find it somewhere. There it is. So in the book itself, I'm going to compare the same thing here. In the book itself, too many prints on it. I gotta be careful. What am I doing? Smashing them up. So in the book itself, we have the same 3 prints, but this is the unwashed version. It's still on the hard backing. I've now got the washed version. So I don't know, just to sit and page through this book one after the other, 100 prints, one after the other. Just insane. There's no way anything like this could ever be produced again. It's impossible. And our own prints in our Hunger Club format, like the one we did last year, the owl, and this year the fisherman, show, that's got 5, 6, 7 colors. It's fairly largely scale carved, and we sell that for 3,000 yen and make a few cents on it after we've paid for the printers and the paper and everything else all involved with it. That's 3,000 yen. This is a book of 100 of them. So if we were selling it at the same level, it would be $3,000. But nobody can pay $3,000 for this. Anyway, I have to get back to work. It's 9 o'clock. So there you have it. Book from Takamizawa. 100 years, what's it called? 100 years of woodblock prints. Well, as I said, you know, I don't know what to do with broken ones. I really don't know what to do with that. But we have the book itself. I have 3 copies of the book now itself, and I only need 1. So I think I'll chat with Cameron about putting the book itself into the flea market, the unbroken copy of the book. I'm not sure what to do about these. We'll see. Okay, let's get back to work. Where's my block? Okay, the rest of the work today is going to be quiet. No more hammering. What did I do with it? And 1 print lost in action, missing in action. Sorry about that. Comments. I'm sorry, guys. I'm not keeping up. I know today is Saturday, so there won't be any Cameron. Cameron is off. Cameron's off for 4 days now. He's gone Saturday and Sunday, and he's arranged his days off so that he's going to be missing Monday and Tuesday. Some Christian reason. Don't know what it is. Nothing to do. I don't know. Is there anyone around today willing to put together such a retrospective collection? As I said, it's impossible. You know, if there were going to be, I can imagine a Kickstarter. Okay, we're going to make this plan for making 100 woodblock prints. They're going to be $30 each, $3,000. Do a Kickstarter. But what are you going to do? It's years and years and years and years of work. We're trying to do this. I mean, the things we're making now are our series that we're running next year, our subscription series. It's the modern version of that kind of a thing, you know. The prints we're making is not as stunningly detailed as that. We just don't have the technology to do that. The level of carving and printing has dramatically changed over 100 years, you know. So we can't reproduce that sort of thing. But the kind of work we're doing, I think, it's the current version. It's the current iteration of that kind of a skill thing, you know. Our print sets. We opened up our subscription page yesterday with Jed's sets in it. And sometime in the next week, I'm going to open up more prints on the subscription page. We have my own Solitude series. We have my own Beauties of the Japanese print series, which in itself is as stunningly interesting as those prints. So yeah, we can't replicate that big one, series of 100 prints, but we're doing it. We're doing the same thing in our own scale. I can't read it all, I'm sorry. I'll try and read it later. Is there a plan to print the Genji blocks we have? No, absolutely no, for a few reasons. One, they're heavily, heavily worn. The key blocks are really badly worn out. The printers weren't careful with them. 2, I have no rights to do that. I own the physical blocks, but I don't own the rights to the image. Okada-san, the designer, he owns them, and he's still alive. And discussions I had with both him and with the original publisher lead me to believe that it would not be a sensible project to undertake. There was huge stress between the two of them. The publisher thought he was making beautiful prints. The designer wanted more, wanted more. They basically had a fight and cut loose and finished it. So that's not something I want to get involved with. The designer we work with, Jed, he and I, we don't have fights. We have little levels of what can we do, but we've established a nice working relationship. I don't want to get into a relationship that's hostile, which seems like that's what would be the case with those Okada Yoshio blocks. So let them sleep, they're done. We would love to print them for research purposes, and at some time in the future we will do that. When we get to the level of getting more printers here and more stable working environment, those blocks will come out for a huge research project. And we'll talk to Okada-san, we'll get his permission for that, to take some prints from them, to show how it was done, to show how the colors are mixed, to show how the prints were made. But I doubt very, very, very much we'll get to the point of ever making something from those blocks that we could sell. So almost certainly the answer is that will never happen. I'm sorry. Zoom in a bit more, I guess, right? I'm going to be not wandering too far around. This bench sounds like an old boat. It's creaking. For those of you who haven't seen this part of the process, this step, getting rid of the roughness in the oceans, we've got land and oceans here, and the oceans have to be basically smooth, otherwise pigment builds up. If there's rough spots on these oceans, like for example, if you can see it, there's a bit of a thing here. As we're brushing, pigment hits here and builds up and builds up and builds up, and gradually turns into a sort of an undersea island. And they get higher and higher and higher, and at some point they start to interfere and make blots on the paper. So a workshop like ours, which is always going to be making many copies of prints, we try, if we can, to get the oceans here basically smooth. Don't go overboard. Oh, don't go overboard. But we do try and get them smooth. is not a repurposed block. It's a block that has been waiting in the wings for this job since, I don't know the exact year, sometime in the early 2000s. It was prepared by Matsumura-san. The block maker I used to get the blocks from, Shimano-san, he died in 1999. And there was a bit of chaos for 1 year or so when it was really tough to get blocks. And then Matsumura-san, the company called Wood Like Matsumura, he stepped up to the plate and he started producing blocks for the carvers in plywood form, something I had asked Shimano-san to do before, but Shimano-san refused to try that. But after Shimano-san died, Matsumura-san over at Wood Like Matsumura started making blocks. And all during the years I was making my Surimono albums, this is from 1999 to 2004, he supplied me with blocks. And he was doing a really good job at it. He didn't really know what he was doing at first, and he had no technology to plane them. The old blocks were hand planed, never sanded. And Matsumura-san, not having that access to, old craftsmen who knew how to do that, used a sanding technology, which at first I thought, oh my God, we can't do this. But he really did work on it really well. And he got to the point where he was sanding these blocks underwater. And he planed them first, mechanically, then switched to a sanding system, huge belt sanders, and bit by bit got better at this. And, the problem with a sanded block for carving is planing, obviously cuts the block smooth and sharp. And sanding is actually just tearing it with little grains of rock, is just tearing it up. So if you're looking microscopically, the surface of a sanded block is actually just torn to pieces. And when we carve really, really, really fine lines, the torn surface of the wood absorbs water when you're printing, and the lines tend to absorb and swell up. So my experience up until that time that I'm talking about had been no sanding, because blocks that were finished off by sanding will not hold fine lines. They will swell up. I chatted with Matsumura-san about this. This is years ago, back in the early 2000s, and we talked about it. He didn't work just with me. He was working with the Adachi workshop too. He was preparing their blocks for them, and they have much more critical requirements than I did. So I don't want to take any credit for this, but he, bit by bit, got his system worked out, where he just sanded it and sanded it and sanded it underwater at the last stages. And then when we tested those blocks, cut really, really, really fine lines, they were okay. As long as we cut sharply with good sharp chisels, the lines did not swell up. So Matsumura-san became the block maker for all of the traditional printers and carvers through the 2000s. The problem comes, and the reason we don't use Matsumura-san anymore, is because his access to good wood became difficult. Once Shimano-san died in 1999, that was the end of the traditional block planing, but it was also the end of the supply chain. Matsumura-san didn't have access to the same supply chain that Shimano-san did. And the supply chain disappeared once Shimano-san was gone. So Matsumura-san's early blocks are used on nice wood that was produced from that supply chain. But over the years, 2005 up to 2010, going on from there, the quality of the raw material he was using dropped dramatically. And that's why we abandoned Matsumura-san, about 4, 5, 6 years ago. We started trying to source our own wood, because we think we have a better eye for it than he does. Matsumura-san's, his main business is supplying wood for house construction. So he's not a carver, he doesn't know how to do this. So he was trying to do a good job, but he didn't really know what's good wood and what isn't good wood. So whatever, as I said, we abandoned using him now 5 years ago, and we're trying ourselves to build some semblance of a supply chain to find good wood. We're really, really struggling. We haven't got good wood, but we're on the way, and at some point we'll probably get there. Anyway, long story short, this block is left over from a group made for me by Matsumura-san in about the 2003 or 2004, 2005, somewhere around there. And it is a nice piece of wood that we just can't get anymore. The key block for this Octopus print was done on a similar piece of wood from him. Okay, I think we're getting there. I see a piece that I stopped that I didn't tap out. Can we do a bit more tapping without upsetting everybody? I missed clearing out this little bit. So without panicking, this is not going to be a revert, but I'll do a bit more tapping here. It's 9:12. Okay. Okay, I think we're basically clear. Let's do that. The final stage now around the very edges themselves. For that we can zoom in. There's the final edge between the land and the sea. Here's one of the boys, Kawaii-san. Sounds like the day here is about to get underway. So it's coming towards the end of the stream here, so we should think about what's the schedule now. Today is Saturday, I guess that's right. Tomorrow, I don't know, what's the stream tomorrow? I guess I'll still be working on this. There's no way I'm going to be able to finish this morning. So tomorrow I'll be perhaps finishing off this block. And then we're into Christmas and New Year, so I'm not sure. Try and play it a bit day by day, I guess. I'm not quite sure what the schedule will be. For sure, remember keeping alert now, for sure, January 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, there will be no streams at all. We're going to shut this place down for the beginning of January. Did I mention the other day about the request from the travel company? I know we're working with 2 or 3 different travel companies. They make bookings for their clients into our print parties. Well, they resell our print parties, you know, so they have our print parties in their system. When they've got a family or something traveling in Japan, they will suggest different stuff. Go here, go there, go to the robot cafe, or do this or that. And our print parties are one of the things in their system. So travel companies sometimes resell our print parties. They then make the reservation through our system, and we just treat it as normally. The reservation has come in from the travel company. the people walk in the door, we do the print party, they walk out without paying. And the travel company pays us at the end of the month. So we do this quite a lot. There's 2 or 3 companies that work with us. We got a request from one of them. Kai-san, good morning. Hello, hello. Gonna be a busy day. Hi, thank you. So we got a request from one of the companies a few weeks ago. She said, can we have a print party for our customers on January the 2nd, day after New Year's? And I wrote back and said, no, sorry, we're closed. We can't do that. And she said, no, please. And I have a real special request from this family. They want to have a special New Year's in Japan. Can they do a print party? They want to do a print party. They've heard about it before. And I wrote back and I said, I'm sorry, we're closed that day. I know we're closed January 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. I can't do a print party. And she got a bit edgy. She wrote back, this is all happening on email. She says, look, we've been really good to you. We've sent you many, many clients this year. Please do this special request for us. Do the print party on January 2nd. And I had to write back and say, whatever, I know you've helped us a lot. That's very good, but I don't have staff here. I can't. What she was asking me to do is ask one of my staff, morning, I'm going to ask one of the staff, Teiko-san, please give up your New Year holiday and come in and do the print party. There's no way I'm going to do that. And this is a request coming from a travel agent lady who probably herself is going to take a 6-day holiday at the end of the year after she's got her work all organized, So I don't know. We have to remember we're in the tourist business, the travel business, so we can't accept that we can have normal holidays ourselves. If you're going to be a train driver, you have to understand that sometimes you got to drive trains on Christmas morning. That's just the way it is when you're a train driver, If you're in the travel business, tourist business. I don't think I have to do that January the 2nd. I know why she was desperate though, because she couldn't find anything for that family to do, because Tokyo in January 1st and 2nd is shut down. Shrines are okay. The big department stores recent years have been opening up, so the shopping is okay, but there's nothing to do. There's no activities because everything's closed. So what time is it here? 21. Okay. Well, too much conversation. Hi. Okay, guys, let's see. I'll be out of here now. Get running with the shop. Hey, we got a bunch of work done today. And you can see what happens here, This block is taking me days and days and days to do, but in real life, no. What did we do? We spent one stream cutting the outlines. Then we spent today's stream chiseling away this. And we're probably going to spend tomorrow's stream cleaning up the outside. So whatever, so 3 streams, an hour, I've talked too much. So 4 hours work or so. So to do this full block face, would be 4 or 5 hours work. There's 8 blocks, 8 faces in this print. The key block, of course, it would have taken weeks to carve, and some of the patterns on the seaweed would have taken a few days to carve. But you can see, if nothing else was in the way, if I was a normal carver sitting down at a normal work environment, a set of blocks for a print like this, a couple of weeks work, get on to the next one. Publish it, get on to the next one. Publish it, get on to the next one. You're getting a misleading viewpoint in the fact that this has taken me years to do this because there's no concentration on the work. That's a bit misleading. This woodblock printmaking is not such a difficult job. Okay, anyway, I'll be back here tomorrow. We'll be finishing off this block, and beyond that I can't see, but do be prepared. There will be days off, lots of days off in the next couple of weeks. Anyway, I'm out of here to get the shop going. Thanks very much. Sorry about all the banging today. Can't be helped. That's part of the job. See you tomorrow. Good night, guys. Good night. Good morning. Where's that package of prints? Let's just have a last little look at this. Selfish, selfish, selfish. Look at the gradations. So delicate you almost can't see it. Floating in hot water. Well, this was the double. It's a single image. I think in the original it was 3. I can't remember. I have to look it up. I think there was 3 together. Nice gradations. Look at the lettering. They've actually carved that lettering. So beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Anyway, I got to get out of here. I got to get to work. Thanks for your patience with all this. Look at all those colors. Thanks for your patience. Bye-bye. See you guys later. Not teasing, just enjoying.